been more than one or two, yeah. Music coming from the radio, loop pedal looping next door. Heard my mama laugh the way ladies do, yeah. And it was late in the evening, all the music seeping through. Next thing I remember, baby, I was walking down the street, feeling alright. I'm with my boys, I'm with my Guz and Aaron. Walking down the avenue, some of the cats are out shooting pool. I heard the sound of acapella groups. We mo wap, oh we mo wap, we mo wap. And it was late in the evening, all the ladies out on the stoops. I learned to play some lead guitar. I was underage in this funky bar. Stepped outside, smoked myself a J. Everybody came up into the room and everybody seemed to move. But I turned that amp up loud and I began to play. And it was late in the evening. I think I might have smoked blue and that room away. Yeah, yeah, come on now. Said I'm gonna get that girl no matter what I do. I guess I've been in love before, once or twice or maybe more. Oh, I never loved no one the way I love you, the way I love you. And it was late in the evening, all the music seeping through, yeah. Come on. Said I'm gonna get that girl no matter what I do, no matter what I do. I guess I've been in love before, once, twice, okay, maybe more. But I never loved no one the way I love you. It was late in the evening, the music seeping through. It was late in the evening, ladies dancing too. It was late in the evening, see through. Darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Here comes the darling. It seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun. I say, It's alright. Little darling, I see that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little darling, oh, the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Sun, here it comes. 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 Little darling, oh, that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben Hammond, starting things off here with a little Beatles tune for you. Before that, some Paul Simon. We got your gracious hosts. They're going to turn them over to you. And we've got a nice show planned for y'all today. So please stick around. Thank you for listening. Have an awesome day, everybody.
And welcome back, buddy.
Good to see you guys.
Oh, Aaron, your audio, my man. Your audio.
I'm sure it was really
Who needs
funny.
audio?
Is it not working?
There we go.
There,
Okay.
Awesome. Welcome,
I was miming.
everyone.
I was miming there for a second, just mixing it up, making Fireside Chat fun. I really enjoyed the mashup, that seamless, like, wait a minute, this is a different song now. That was very cool. Totally. And then, and then the Ben clones coming into my ears, like,
yeah. I mean,
that was
like,
awesome.
We're just one step away from me being like able to inject music directly into you all. So
we're pretty close.
We're working on it.
Technology.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And if, I'm starting to get my frame rate up. I think the coffee's kicking in. But late in the evening, and so we went from like night to day, right? Here comes the sun. That was cool. Late in the evening, our guest today is someone who spends a lot of time working late into the evening, and I think we're gonna pull as much awesome information out of his brain as we can. But Ben, it's always great to hear you, and yeah, thanks for opening the show.
Thanks so much, guys. It's always a blast.
Awesome. See you next week, Ben.
Cheers. Give it up for Ben Hammond, everyone. You can see down there, it says you can click on that, follow Ben Hammond on Instagram if you want to find out what he's up to, where he's playing, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone, to the Fireside Chat series. We're your hosts, Aaron Dietzen and the Guz. And if you are new to the series, this is week 5 of our 8-week SketchUp virtual community experience. It's both fun and informative. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you're new, come on around the fire and pull up a log.
You know, I just had that realization that we're more than halfway through. It's this bittersweet thing because it means we only have a couple left after this, but I kind of feel like it means we should know what we're doing by now.
You would think. No, that's not
Pressure's on. Yeah. So tonight we have an awesome show for you. We're going to have Daniel Tall on. He's I would call him a SketchUp all-star, landscape architect, but he's also just a SketchUp enthusiast. The guy he's so excited about SketchUp still to this day. I mean, he's been using it for years and just still so excited about what he does, how he does it, and the other people who are using SketchUp. So it's really an exciting honor to have him on the show tonight.
It is. Daniel Tall. He's a real fun guy.
He is.
That wasn't a landscape joke either. That he's
well, now it is.
The format of our show is not your typical webinar. The presentation will begin in about half an hour. So as a reminder, today's episode will feature an interview, our presentation, and then community Q&A. We've already have some questions popping up down below. You see where it says ask a question. We have 13 questions, Aaron. How cool is that?
That's awesome. I do want to remind everybody, though, that ask a question is for Daniel Tall, our presenter. So if you're having problems authorizing your second machine or installing an extension, take that over to our forum, forums.sketchup.com. This is specifically for Daniel Tall later in the show.
That's right. The episode's expected to be about an hour and a half. So pour yourself a cup of coffee and get comfortable. And let's do this. There we go. Cheers.
It's not coffee. I don't know if you guys caught that earlier, but these metal cups don't do well with hot liquid. But it's showmanship. It's still good.
That's right. Oh man!
If you're having any issues, just wanted to pop this in. You've actually seen it come up on the chat a couple times. But if you're having any lag in audio, video freezing, that sort of thing, you may check compatibility mode. If you go down to the lower left corner, there's an option down there that says get audio video help, and there's a checkbox in there that says compatibility mode, and that will just compress the stream, give you a little buffering time, and get you a much smoother experience if you're having any sort of lag issues.
Yes, and a little bit of housekeeping here. Of course, we mentioned the question and answer area down below. We have 13 questions now. If you see a question on there that you like and you just want to give it a boost, you can upvote it, and those ones that bubble to the top will be the ones that we'll be asking our special guest today at the end of the show. A recording of this episode will be available immediately after the show. Same link, same bat time, same bat channel, or whatever bat time. I don't care. And then for the poll, we have a poll that normally pops up at the bottom of the screen. It'll say poll with the number 1 on it. It'll have one question. And I think we have a poll today, don't we, Aaron?
There it is. That's right. Our poll today, we're plugging into our guest presenters' speciality. So today we want to know what your favorite type of scape is. Is it landscape, which I think the deck is kind of stacked on this one. Is it playscape? Is it manscape?
It counts.
Is it manscape? Is it endscape, or is it cityscape? And after that question, I want the option to escape. But
oh, look at that!
That's something.
Yes. Ooh. Did you remember to bring your marshmallows today, Aaron?
I didn't. I don't.
No?
That looks good. Ooh.
Oh yeah. It's actually a little. It's more time. Yeah. You didn't here. If you didn't bring them, I brought some.
Okay, hit me.
All right, ready? Hit it.
Got it.
Yes, that was a terrible throw, and you still caught it.
Went off a little bit, but mine's uncooked. It's still good.
Mine has a lot of carbon buildup on it, but that's okay. I think it helps your tummy, doesn't carbon?
It's good
carbon
for something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that was crunchy. We did. We're gonna check on the poll in just a second. We did have a question coming up about transcripts. We don't transcribe the episodes, but if anybody out there cares to, let us know, and we'll share your work.
Awesome sauce. Let's look at the poll. What do we got?
Let's see. I'm guessing. I'm not going to look. I'm going to guess landscape won with this crowd.
Yeah. You know what? Playscape didn't stand a chance. That was my choice. Manscape had only 1 vote. We have some people who render. So Enscape is in there with 4 votes. Cityscape coming in at just under 20. So 67.4%, 68%. It's still growing. So our landscape, and that's what they're here for. And guess what?
We got you covered.
We got you covered. Yeah. Maybe we'll do manscaping next week because my beard's getting a little bit fuzzy.
No, we won't.
Oh, dang it. All right. So,
All right,
are we doing a giveaway this week?
We are. So you guys are going to need to pay attention to, we're going to bring Daniel Tull up in a little bit, and he's going to give a presentation. He's going to give an awesome talk. You guys are going to want to pay special attention. At some point in his presentation, he's going to cover a point that he's going to come back to and ask you about later. So it's going to be a trivia question. So you really have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the first person to properly answer his trivia question when he asks is going to receive a prize. And what is that prize, Guz?
Ooh, that prize is SketchUp for Site Design, a guide to modeling site plans, terrain, and architecture, 2nd edition, written by our guest, Daniel Tull. Yeah. So
right.
Limber up those fingers. Get ready to answer the question. Yes, Aaron's ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
I can't win, but I'm still limbering up. I just, together, we're limbering up.
We are limbering up. All right. So
All right.
Now's the time of the show where we do SketchUp community shout outs. All right. Who's shouting out today?
The community shout out is where we get to recognize all of you guys, the SketchUp-averse. So everybody go on. There's so much awesome things going out there. We got people modeling, making things for SketchUp. We did something a little bit different today. This is than we normally do. We've been highlighting Instagram users. Have you noticed that, Guz, that everybody we've shown has been an Instagram user?
Yeah, strange coincidence, but yes. Are we changing it up?
We are. So we're going to do a little different.
Okay.
So the thing I want to look at today is actually a product that just released, and it ties right in with landscape architecture. This is SU Plants. So SU Plants is a extension website service, I guess, which provides you with high quality renderable plants for your models. So
Nice.
it is a service. You do have to go up there. You have to subscribe to it or pay for it, that sort of thing. But it's probably one of the most asked questions we get for landscape is, how do I get good looking plants into my renders? And SU Plants is brand new option and a way for you to get those high quality plants into your renders. So your landscape work. So yeah, check that out.
That's cool. We have lots of landscapers here, and when they see it, they'll probably say that this is totally caught you off guard with that one.
You did. I was thinking about this half a marshmallow when I'm going to sneak it in my mouth and nobody's going to notice. I'll keep it here for later. You just stay right there, Marshmallow.
All right. Speaking of awesome, who else is awesome is our Fireside Chat SketchUppers who have joined us here tonight. We have over 1,400 people registered for this event. And so if you work for a design company, landscape design, site design, why don't you put your URL or your business name or whatever you want there in the chat, and just right down here. Hi.
Yeah. Again, let's see how fast we can make the chat go. I enjoy this so much. Everybody, put your name in. Ready, set, go.
Go. AwesomePlantShop.com. I hope that doesn't exist. Or if
I thought it said plant shop, like a lamb shop made out of plant.
Oh, here they come.
There they go.
Oh, man.
Acorn Design, Flex, too many.
Heirloom
MSP,
Modern.
Joe.
Calamarcy, what? Okay. Oh, man. McAdams. Oh, my gosh. Red Barn Man, Montana. There's so many. Oh, man. I'm gonna scroll back through this later on and check some of these out. Nice.
Wow.
It's still going.
So
nice.
Wow, we're just gonna keep. We'll give you guys props here. I was trying to read them, but they really are going by way too fast. John Clements is coming in from Sketchucation.
I know about that place.
That's a place that's a good spot to get some information on
Yes.
SketchUp. Man, wait a minute. British Columbia is not a company. I know that. Troy's messing with me.
Yeah.
Wow, they're still coming.
Yes, they are. They are.
Oh, wow. So you guys would say then you have some level of enthusiasm for landscape architecture, it looks like.
I think they do. Yes, yeah. I think so.
Between that and the polls, I'm like boiling that down to yes, there is.
Yeah, and I don't think that we should stand between our guest and our Fireside campers with us here today. We should probably welcome in our special guest today.
Let's do just that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to my friend Daniel Tall. He is, like I said, a SketchUp enthusiast, SketchUp user, landscape architect, all-around nice guy. Daniel Tall.
Yeah. There he goes. Welcome.
Hello.
Extra awesome there.
Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Thank you for having me. How's everybody doing?
Good. Good to see your face. I haven't seen your face since Palm Springs.
Since 2018. It was
oh my gosh. We sat around and I ordered a 28-day-old burger. Do you remember that? We went to
yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the desert.
In the desert.
In the desert. Yeah, Palm Springs was a fun place. You could, especially that convention center where they had the boats in the entire hotel.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Those were good times. Those were good times.
Those were good times.
Well, hey, thanks for you're a busy guy, so we especially appreciate that you were able to take time off and hang out with us. This is very cool.
You make me sound busier than I am.
Well, you always seem to have a lot going on. I
have a lot going on, but parenting is number one. No parenting, and nothing else gets done.
That's true. There's a priority.
There is a priority.
But we asked you, or everybody else were like, hey, we'll put a link up on the screen for if they want to. Everybody else is like, oh yeah, throw up my Instagram. We're like, well, Daniel's like, well, we could put up this website or this website or my blog. Or I could go to Placemaker, or maybe I should do my book. And we're like, we'll just change it every 5 minutes. So keep an eye on the link down at the bottom, because it may update as we go through here with some different options for what you should see as far as Daniel's concerned.
For better or for worse, I like to share. My coworker that works for me kind of chastises me for it. He's like, you stop giving away information. I'm like,
Man, I'll tell you, So I haven't always worked at SketchUp. I've been here about 5 years, and I've used other software before that. And one of the things that always drew me to SketchUp was the fact that the users do share. I mean, people put up their templates, their files. They'll take your file and make it look like theirs and give it back to you. It's crazy.
And it's easier to sharing has allowed me to further progress myself. Because people always come back with, hey, have you seen this? I'm like, no, that's really cool. Can I try that out? And then I go and then I go present it, and then I look good because someone else shared something with me that I had nothing. I didn't know about it. I mean, you name it.
You just described my job, Daniel. Basically,
exactly.
I go hang out on the forum for a couple hours. I'm like, I'll make a video of that. Yeah.
That's even part of my presentation with some of the people I'll give shout outs to. They're like, yeah, he actually does all the work.
So Daniel, has the pandemic, has the lockdown affected your crazy active lifestyle?
It was interesting to have 2 little kids at home for several months. That definitely had an impact. Everybody's kind of, life's not back to normal, but you know what? I'll give it a shot. I want to give one shout out to the game EVE Online. It's kept me sane at night to play it. It's my downtime. Been playing it for 16 years. I fell in love with EVE the same time with SketchUp back in 2004. So, and then it's figuring out how to share space with 2 kids, 1 wife, 2 cats, a dog, and I'm sure there's something else hiding someplace in the house. That's like
it did perfectly describe the pandemic situation. When we had a call a week ago as you're prepping your thing. And I think I asked you what it was like working at home in the pandemic. And seconds after I asked that, one of your kids yelled, "I don't have my pants on."
Yes. It's all the random stuff that goes on that you can't turn around with something meowing, barking, or asking for something, including myself. But at the same time, we're all closer. We're all blessed to be at home. Right now they're all out, so I can say that. And surprisingly, working from home, I'm just as busy as I was in the office. It's literally at the computer, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, working at night. The past couple of months have been extremely busy. There was that part in the initial part of the panic that started in March where everybody kind of just hunkered down. Like everything was quiet outside. There was, you could hear birds instead of cars. There was no planes. I'm like, look, there's a plane carrying people that might have COVID. But it's become, here's our new normal. I don't know when I'm going back to the office. A lot of my friends are now, you guys are going to be remote for a while too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Better safe than sorry.
And hopefully we'll get to come back to meet up in person again for Basecamp 2022. So I don't know. Let's stay.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, 2022.
Yes.
So you mentioned, but I want to go back to it. You mentioned you've been playing Eve as long as you've been playing SketchUp, using SketchUp. It's so much fun. So how did you originally hook into SketchUp? How did you come across it?
I was at EDA in Fort Collins, one of the better places I've ever worked other than DHM. And Mark Cosmos, another landscape architect, really talented. He's like, look, and it wasn't a floppy disk, but it was a CD. He's like, there's this thing on SketchUp on it. It was SketchUp version 3. I still have the CD.
Wow. And
I plopped it in, and the obsession just hit. I took one project, modeled it. I was, up at night doing it. It's funny that you say that, because some people would say that EVE Online is a lifestyle game, which I can't get into because it's too intense. But I had to make a decision right then. Do I play with the 3D modeling tomb or this really niche, outrageous, weird space game? So I had to drop one of them, which, here I am. And then I'm like, I'm going to contact the SketchUp people. I'm like, where they are? They're in Boulder, Colorado. Okay, I'm in Fort Collins. I'm like, hey, next thing I know there's like 6 developers in my office. Like, I have no idea how to talk to them. I still don't know how to talk to developers. No offense, developers. And they're like, well, what would you like this tool to have? I'm like, I have some ideas. And it's just been, my goal right then and there was eventually to be at a point where my day job was modeling in 3D. And that's really what I do. I'm in SketchUp every day. I can't complain about that. It's really creative. And even if I was to I would miss it if I had other stuff to do. Like it's part of the desire to create, design, and the rest will be from there.
Awesome. I'm going to divert us a little bit. I'm going to go back to the COVID related question, because one thing that we haven't had yet, I'm looking forward to alien invasion, right?
There's still time in 2020. Yeah.
We still get time. If Daniel, if aliens land on Earth tomorrow and offer to take you with them, would you go?
No.
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 Wow, don't even think about it, huh?
There's a great Twilight episode, a Twilight Zone episode called Serving Man from the 50s, 60s. Anybody? And basically the aliens land on the lawn of the White House lawn. They come out. We're like, we are here to serve you. We're here to serve man. We even have a book called Serving Man. And as the main character is about to get on the flying saucer to go back to their homeworld, his significant other comes up and says, it's not a way to serve man to help us. It's a cookbook. How to serve man.
I would go.
You go?
I'm delicious. I would totally go.
You're delicious. Yeah, I want more details. Like, where are we going? Is it nice? Can I breathe the atmosphere? Like, do you have chicken wings? Just kidding.
The important questions.
The important question. Do you have 24-hour takeout, or do you have a Wi-Fi password for your saucer? I know how 2020. I don't. The alien thing has been really interesting, and all the strange revelations in the media. So who knows? 2020, whatever happens next, does not surprise me. At least I hope not.
Yeah, that's basically the way it's working. Tsunami in Colorado, I buy that.
Then you have beachfront property. Maybe that's bad.
All right. Well, we're going to transition into something that we like to call game time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right. So
how's game time?
we tend See what I was talking about? How we got it all nailed down by now? Halfway through, everything works without a problem. So we like to customize our games for the users, or for our guests. So we've done this different for every single person. And one of the things I just love about when you present, Daniel, is your shout outs. So you have the ability to remember just people, what they do, how they do it, and give them recognition. So we created a game specifically around that. So we have a little thing called SketchUp Who's Who. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you trivia questions about the SketchUp community. And we're going to give you about 15 seconds not only to answer, but then shout out however you want.
Can I look online to see who it is?
If you can do it all in 15 seconds, I think you'll know it. I think the issue you're going to have is keeping your shout outs to 15 seconds.
Okay, gotcha.
Because after 15 seconds, Guz is going to buzz you.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We're going to start. I got a softball for you. Ready? What company released the extension Placemaker?
Oh, come on. Actually, that's a hard one. Mindside Studios, Dale Martin.
All right. I figured you want to say more than that about Dale, but your work wife is going to feel left out of this whole thing.
Oh, no. I have a different work wife. He's in the presentation. Dale's more like whatever Dale says I listen to, and he knows how to keep me in check.
Okay, nice.
That's an important thing to have.
Well, I'm like, hey, I have this idea. He's like, yeah, do you have several $1 million to implement it? I'm like, no, okay. He's like, let's go on to the next one.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's go on to the next question.
Question 2. Who shared the keynote stage with you in 2016?
Oh, Alex Hogref. The guy's a genius. If nobody has ever seen Alex Hogref's website, you got to go. Following him was like following the Beatles. It's like...
Okay, that was...
I'm surprised. These concise answers. You're nailing it. All right. Question 3, Daniel. Who's the man behind SketchUp Essentials?
Oh, Justin Geis. Hey, Justin's the man. Shout out to Justin. Just had a baby.
Awesome.
He did.
Nice.
Oh.
Alex Hogref. Hopefully someone will put the link in the chat.
That's right. Visualizing architecture. Okay. What are we on? Question number 4. What is the name of your favorite Enterop extension?
Oh, boy.
I told you.
Actually, flatten to 2D. I use it every day, all the time for all my projects. It's an obscure one, but flatten to 2D, among other things. I can keep going. She's got so many.
Nope, music's up. Time's over.
Yep.
Yes, Enterop has a list of extensions that you should look at no matter what you use SketchUp for.
She's amazing.
All right. Question number 5. Who developed one of your favorite extensions, I believe, Cleanup 3?
Not Tig. Oh my God. I know. Norway. Brain just went blank. I'm so sorry. Don't hold it against me. Especially since I talk to him all the time.
Oh, no, you got to play the other one. Play the other noise. Oh, that was a Tom extension.
Tom.
Thomas Thomason. Oh,
sorry, Tom.
I thought you had this nailed 100%.
Roosevelt got it, though. Roosevelt.
All right. Oh, yeah, we got people in the chat had it. That's the important part.
Yes.
All right.
So we'll give you the jing for that one. Yeah.
The community. Use your community call out lifeline there.
Dave is giving me a hard time.
All right. Question number 7. Number 6. What is the best way to get a Revit file into SketchUp?
Oh God, really? Don't use Revit? Wait, I'm sorry, I can't say that. SimLab, SketchUp, Revit to SketchUp importer.
That is the correct answer.
I have like 5 licenses for that thing.
All right, we're wrapping up. We got 2 questions left. Question number 7. You have, remember, 15 seconds to answer this. Who have you not shouted out that you think you should in the last
Lord.
6 seconds? Ready, set, go.
Mike Brightman, John Brock, God, Angelo Zielinski, who just had a baby. Come on, this is not fair. Chris Dizon, Josh Riley.
That was pretty good. That was, I mean, for 15 seconds.
Valley Architecture, Chuck. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck. I was excited. You were supposed to co-present with Chuck Valley at the 2020. I was super excited about that.
I know, and it was because he showed up. He showed up to Palm Springs. His wife was there. I'm friends with, and she's like, "How do we get him to come here?" I'm like, "Let's conspire." And so I put something together. I can guarantee he was like, "It's canceled." Sweet. I don't have to present. He's such a quiet man.
You introduced me to him at 2018, and it was great to meet him because I mean his stuff is so cool. I was so excited to go to his presentation.
You know, he lives far away too. He's on Hawaii.
All right.
So.
All right. If you don't know this last question, you can guess. How many marshmallows can Guz fit into his mouth?
15. Oh, you're really gonna do that? Oh, dude.
I don't.
15, huh?
I just read the script, guys. So 15. Here it goes. Let's see here. I don't even know if I have 15. Oh, it's starting to chop up. Well, these are really big marshmallows.
I thought they were mini marshmallows. Sorry, that's what I have at the house for the kids. Yeah, I wouldn't do 15. Yeah, 4, 5, maybe 4. Oh God.
Okay, so full disclosure, Guz didn't know I was going to ask that question. All right, so we're gonna do a little round of housekeeping real quick, and then Daniel's gonna get started. You ready to housekeep, Guz, or you need me to?
No, I'm gonna do it with a mouthful of marshmallows.
Go. Yes.
All right, folks. There goes a little bit of housekeeping. We have Ask a Question down below. Right now, we have 15 questions under Ask a Question. If you see one that you like there, give it an upvote. If you see one that you don't see, that you add it. That's cool. Fireside Lounge. After the event, we're going to invite Daniel Tall to come back to the forum. We're going to hang out in the lounge, sip some cold ones, ask a bunch of questions, and see what he has to say. And I think we're on to the presentation.
Yeah. So again, reminder. Pay attention because he's going to ask you a trivia question at the end, and you'll only know if you pay attention to the whole presentation. So with that, we'll hand it over to Daniel.
Boom.
Excellent.
All you, buddy.
So I'm going to share my screen.
All right. I'm going to duck down here.
Actually, did I do that correctly?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on. Allow.
That's the one.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn off my camera here just for the sake of bandwidth. Thanks for letting me present and be allowed to actually share information. I'm going to talk about something that I typically don't talk about, which is my position within the firm I'm working for, DHM Design, and all the peripheral stuff that revolves around that. How does SketchUp and all this other technology integrate into landscape architecture? It's one thing to talk about landscape architecture and where SketchUp was in 2004, 16, 10, even 8 years ago. Things are so different with all this different technology that's out there. So I'm going to talk about my background and what that means for that. Going to definitely talk about DHM design, drones and visualization. I'm going to take a case study and show how we wrap in a bunch of different technology in together to get something done. There's also a big discussion around graphics in our office, especially non-photo real graphics. And then I'm going to jump into some self-promotional stuff, but trying to actually, again, talk about the tools that I specifically use every day through terrain modeling and custom tools. It's going to be, and we'll get into the specifics there. I'm a registered landscape architect. I'm a member of the American Society of Landscape Architecture. I've done a lot of work with them. My role is Viz Tech Studio Manager at DHM Design. I also develop software on the side, and author, and for me, the important thing above all else is being a dad and very present in my family life. At DHM, we use drones now for a while. We have at least 6 drone pilots. We do 3D modeling, all the rendering. My job is multifaceted. I also train staff, so I've trained at least 16, if not 20 different people over several years to use SketchUp, to use Lumion, to use drones. I do work as a site planner and do site design. Also responsible for GIS and geospatial information. We're playing around with augmented reality. I do have one example for you. And I'm still doing publications, articles, and all that kind of stuff. Lecturing, research and development is actually a really big part of what I do, and that's where the marriage between DHM and I has been very beneficial.
Sounds like you're a little bit busy.
This is where you delegate. Get other people to do stuff.
Management.
Exactly. So I have 2 books, SketchUp for Site Design, Rendering, and SketchUp, but with John Altschild, another landscape architect, and also uncredited authors Justin Clark for this book. It's Drone Technology and Architecture, Engineering, and Construction. Very, very short book, 180 pages. Should be out either December or next year, but it's not like how do I learn to fly. It's the business side of drones. It's the licensing, the apps, the software, and the process behind it. And it's meant to be concise and quick. And I'm going to show you some examples of how we use drones in our practice. I do own Placemaker, suplacemaker.com with Dale Martins. We are releasing a Revit version. I know, don't shoot me for that one, but there's just been a demand for that. And we're actually working on it now, but I'm going to demo or at least talk about Placemaker towards the end of the presentation. Most important for me, since this is really more of a show and tell kind of presentation given time limits, I do like to make sure people have the information they need. I do have a great tutorial blog at danieltodd.com overview with Bonnie Roskis, and I wrote those. It's all this stuff is relatively old, but they're still relevant, absolutely relevant for what you're going to do with SketchUp. Free tutorials at danieltodd.com. Again, they're for an older version of SketchUp, but it's the content that's important, especially if you want to do terrain modeling. I have a terrain modeling system in there. Very, very old but good video is from the second Basecamp, which is CAD to SketchUp. Google search SketchUp Basecamp 2008 CAD to SketchUp Daniel Tal. And that is one of the few places I'm allowed to have a video of how that process works of going from CAD to SketchUp. And that process hasn't changed all that much. And one of my favorite videos that I did was just because it was just a lot of fun was SketchUp Basecamp 2014 on extensions. But go check out all those resources so I can just spend the rest of this presentation showing off. So, you know, what I started off was landscape architecture in 3D. But if we take a step back, it's now about workflow and training and site analysis and networking and GIS and mapping and drones. All the things that people really expect from somebody when you're managing at your mid-level of your career. And how we combined all that at DHM over the past 3 years has been really important. DHM has, over the past 12 years when I've presented, I've never really spoken about the company I've worked for. I've just mentioned them. DHM is a wonderful place. They do amazing work. You know, whether it's, they do hot springs, so, you know, forget it. That's amazing. Like Glenwood Hot Springs, Uray Hot Springs. But they also do national park work, urban design, which I'm going to do a case study on one of the urban design projects that we did, ecological restoration, private residential design. But it's a boutique firm, and we're in Denver, Carbondale, Durango, Colorado, and one person in Bozeman. We're an employee-owned company. What's interesting is the people that have been there for 20, 30, 40 years. It's phenomenal. So it's a really, really well-run place. Everybody's got politics, and they do all this work that you could see on this map all over the West and even in the East, like you know, part of what I'm a part of as the crust at the centerpiece of 3D technology, or just technologies, how to integrate it into these projects. And so we've done an initiative launching for doing infrastructure. I do a lot of infrastructure modeling. And we put these brochures together, and this was a collaborative effort between my studio and the principals to kind of go out there and really show like what kind of stuff we do. You could see the top banners, Denver in a drone shot. The bottom right, the visualization is taking a SketchUp model, then overlaying it for hand rendering. And then I need to give a shout out, obviously, to people. So these are my buddies at DHM that I just love. So Sam Carpenter, you could see Alex in the background, Justin, who I'm going to talk about in a second, Chris Fortin, Jen Becker, who really worked with us for 2 years, trained her. She's a phenomenal modeler. And all the people at DHM, Alex, Mark Wilcox, Karen, Ann Walker, Bill, Matthew, whoever else I'm not mentioning, Caitlin, Amanda, Sheena, and then also a shout out to John Alchild for his Elgato. We share pet photos all day, and he's writing the book with me. I do need to give it. I do not work in a vacuum. Justin Clark has been an integral part of what I do. We've been working together now for 7 years, so really half of my 3D modeling career. And he really is the brains behind all our drone work. I was like, I'm going to get you a drone. And then he's like, why? I'm like, because you're going to love it. And he's like, okay. Didn't touch it for 3 months. And then one day, because he's a gadget guy, like he just takes a drone and he's like, look what I'm doing. And he's sending me all these night shots and all these things that are completely illegal to do with a drone. And I'm like, okay, now let's talk about training. But he's also a phenomenal 3D modeler, as you can see. This bottom right image is actually a photogrammatic shot using the drone of I-70 in Denver. And that's, again, to Justin's credit, the kind of work we do. Here's a 5-mile corridor of I-70 called Floyd Hill, where we're taking this information and we're doing photogrammetry and we figure out how to fly, and we've become pretty proficient at that. And that's one of the first things that we're doing right now with drones. Now, there's a whole workflow that I can't share that's a little bit proprietary for DHM. I'm just going to give you the hints for it. But we do go out there and are able to use this information. I'm going to show you specifically in a project how all this information kind of gets leveraged in there. We take our drones and we've merged them with 3D visualization. So SketchUp and Lumion, and you can see right here we've got a photo simulation for a highway and then revegetation that's in Durango, Colorado. This was for proposal. We didn't win the project, but we still got to make some nice graphics for it. Same thing here. This is a project in Montana called Colson Park. Take the drone shot and then you can amalgamate it, merge it, do the photo matches with your graphics and your 3D modeling to create far more expressive graphics. This is Hudson Gardens, this is one of Justin's photo simulations. Again, I talk about how busy I am, but I think Justin really does most of the work. If Justin's on here, he'll be like, yeah, no, I do all the work. Flying the drone, we've gotten to fly the drone in some phenomenal places. This is Garden of the Gods, top of Pikes Peak, Badlands National Park. Can't fly national parks anymore until they figure out, the way that we figure out how to fly drones that are safe based off espionage. But again, photo simulations, become a really big part of what we do, and really a highly effective way that we're doing more and more. This is not one of my graphics. It's one of the people that used to be at DHM. It's one of my favorite graphics of taking a drone shot, in-house construction, and what's real, what's not. You really can't tell. So it's a very powerful, compelling images that really work well. I wanted to show a video of this next slide. This is a point cloud hyperscan. So here, instead of graphics, we take the drones, we're flying them really close to objects manually. John Alchild's a pro at this. It's in the book. And we're creating these really, dense point clouds of as-builts, the post-construction that we can actually then use and assess. The drones have been wonderful for allowing us to go through a site and find what's hidden, like these rings, these fire rings, in Fairplay, Colorado, in this whole, ecological corridor here. And then taking the drone aerial itself and using it for graphics as an overlay, which is Bill Newman in our office did this. It's just beautiful wall-to-wall graphics showing, the conceptual grades and layouts for trails. But again, the drone image background is what we're using. And then for site analysis, even down to construction documents, we're taking the drone images. This is a corridor plan for a riparian area in a residential neighborhood. And everybody, the teams, the civil, we all use the drone data to effectively mark up the sheets. You can take the drone photogrammatic data. Top photo is a bird's eye. The middle photo is actually a point cloud. And then I used SketchUp and actually created a section from that, from the software. So, there's your workflow of drone section, and making it something that's legible for somebody to understand. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to talk about the 39th Avenue Greenway in Denver. And I'm going to give Shout outs to Justin, to Mark Wilcox, who's one of the managing principals of the Denver office, who's a phenomenal designer and a good friend. Jen Becker, who worked on this, and Caitlin Weber also. But this really is to highlight how you can bring all this technology in together. 39th Avenue is going to be a waterway. There's a new project that's going up on I-70 where they're capping the highway and they're going to have all this extra drainage. So they needed to capture the drainage, but they also wanted to make this a community amenity. So it's 1 mile long. From the minute we started the proposal process, we modeled the entire corridor. We used Placemaker to create context, to get aerials, used some other custom tools to actually build some of this, and then went through an entire iterative process. I don't know how much fee we spent on modeling, but it was in excess of $100,000 is my guess. But it was effective. And again, there's a drone shot. This is existing conditions, so we can show it relative to downtown Denver. And then you have the photo merge on top of it, kind of showing one of the initial concepts that goes into this neighborhood and what they're doing in this particular location. So all this 3D models with lots and lots of details, lots and lots of vegetation, really kind of detailing out. There was a collaborative design effort within the office. And so we would go from design concepts to 3D model to presentation live to going back and refining everything. But then once construction started, we went out, took the drone, and did a photogrammetric scan. So that's another point cloud you're seeing. And
I gotta stop. I love how you say, we took the drone, like this cutting edge, like state of the art process is like just so, we gotta go make some awesome graphics and visualizations. All right, whatever.
So we hopped in the UFO and we flew.
You know, you're right. I make it seem very kind of mundane. But at this point, we've been doing drones there for 6 years, 7 years. I don't even know. So yeah, when we first started flying a drone, I can honestly tell you, I'm going to turn my camera off for this. It's going to get me to pontificate. I put a drone up for the first time, and it was the same fear of flying I had if I was in a plane. I'm like, this is freaky. I don't know why, but I'm scared. And then it really, it just took us time to learn how to do it. And now it's we're trying to train people to do it. In fact, we have 2 pilots in 2 offices. We just throw them in the deep end. We're like, here's everything you need to know, and here's a drone. They're like, I'm going to go fly this thing now? We're like, yeah, good luck. Don't worry, you're insured.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I could talk about that forever. I once gave a presentation on drones to a bunch of students, and it was crickets for some reason. So, but then again, taking the high-resolution aerial, it's really just amazing what kind of information you get from the drone. So it is amazing. You're right. And just to give some more shout-outs, so Trimble Scan Essentials for SketchUp, it's a plugin. You're looking at a point cloud data piece of information in SketchUp. You can model from it. You can measure from it. What it does is it actually it's actually it's an X reference in SketchUp. So, you can't, bring this out. There are ways to bring, meshes using Skimp, for example, another extension by Dale Martins. You can bring the mesh in, but just wanted to show, this is a pretty cool tool, especially the quality of the point cloud in SketchUp is really amazing. So, here another angle. Again, we can assess and watch construction. Again, you look at the keyboard, wow, it was in SketchUp 2020, so that was beta testing that at the time. And again, all this level of detail that you can see, it's just ridiculous at how detailed the information is. And I'm gonna talk about that more as I continue presenting. I'm going to give another shout out to another Trimble product called Sight Vision. So this is taking the 39th Street model, going out on site, putting it as augmented reality that's GPS located. You can walk around. It's not necessarily a client-side tool, but it's one of the most amazing design tools we have our hands on. We were about to buy it a week before we went into COVID quarantine. So now we're putting it back in the budget for next year because everybody wants it at our office, and we've already got requests from clients to use it. So to end off this process, well, drones, visualization, how does it look constructed? So here it is. Here's the recently, as of last week, taken constructed photos of 39th versus the model. And it's phenomenal to get to see, this design process that's got so many people involved with it, and then watch something actually get constructed. and the kind of, the level of details that went from the model all the way down into the actual kind of constructability and the paving, and seeing how exact it is. And that's the biggest challenge with 3D modeling, whether it's architecture, engineering, site design, it doesn't matter, is really like getting it to the level of realism without killing your budget, because it's always a big concern, and then not getting lost in the details with clients. And for me, to this day, I'll always say that whenever I show a 3D model to a client, it's far more effective than anything else, including, these lighting studies we did with SketchUp and then in Lumion to actually show the brick pattern and how this bridge, it's just phenomenal to see what almost looks like a rendered photograph in comparison to the rendering themselves. And everybody in our office is really excited about it. Here's this big play area. I forgot to add the image for the play area, but that changed a lot in terms of what it looked like. And we also had all the bridges in. So this constructability of these models in terms of bringing them down to earth and making them real, and then getting to see the comparisons. We get to see a lot of that. Has been absolutely amazing in terms. So it really shows how this whole process wraps into everything that you're doing.
It's almost hard. It's like hard to tell the real from the render.
And that and that's we use a lot of our processes. And again, like I actually didn't do a lot of the modeling for this project. It was Justin, Jen Becker, Caitlin, which I wanted to show another graphic. I don't know if it's in here or not. But yeah, it's been more of like, how do we train people to get to this level of detail and quality? And there's another good image. Again, like image, there's the rendering. And if I went in and did some night shots, which I don't want to do, I don't want to open up this model ever again, to be honest with you. It's so big. I've worked on it for 2 years. I didn't work on it for 2 years and I'm complaining. It's funny. Okay, so that's 39th. Graphics. Graphics with the advent of SketchUp and Lumion have been so controversial in the landscape architecture community, and I understand why. Part of it is like what makes good graphics, and we want to make sure that non-photorealism is really, and is still a very prevalent discussion in our office, especially in our office, because our office really likes hand graphics, which I love, because the only way to truly design for most people is to sit there with hand graphics. And I can design in 3D, but at that point it's because SketchUp is like my third arm someplace. But so this is the Sand Creek National Historic Site, Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site. We took it, we created these softer renderings, and they were well received in terms of the style. This is for a project up in Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, showing the boardwalk. And again, here's the creative side that I get to play. When I did this particular render, my wife and I were having a fight that afternoon. So I got to really channel the creativity. And then they showed them the render, and they're like, "Can you lighten it up?" I'm like, "That is lightened up." They're like, "No, go lighten it up some more." So this is the lighter version.
They get the storm clouds that day.
Yeah. Well, it rains a lot in Nantucket. That was my excuse. This is a rendering that Justin Clark just did for a project out in Moab. It's just beautiful quality. Trying to find his inner Alex Hodreff as best as he can to really get some nice, subtle, again, as much as we can with the digital medium, and the fact that we don't have any budgets to do this stuff. Everyone's like wants it yesterday. But this is another one. This is Caitlin and Karen Current in our office, taking these 39th Street graphics and making dozens of interpretive boards from the 3D models. So another tool that we're using in different ways for graphic design for how we're getting all that stuff done. And then again, this is a hot springs. You're taking I didn't work on this at all. Trained the people to do it, did the graphics, did the model, gave them the model, and then they did some hand renderings over it. I want to give a shout out to my friend Avi Zohari. I've been friends with him since he's been 11. He's now 21, and we've been working on SketchUp together. I asked him for some inspiration, and we ended up using this graphic. This is one of our projects. It's Sloan's Lake in Denver. We're putting in a new playground that's rocket ships, and I asked him to make a nice soft rendering out of it because it's inspiring for what we do. Here's some more of his graphics that we're using as inspiration for kind of the projects. This is SketchUp, Lumion, and Photoshop, if you want to know. And he's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal in the moody kind of stuff that he gets out there. And he's just as talented doing photorealistic work. So he works with us. I always tap his brain. He's really talented. He's at the age of 21. He's already worked in a couple of landscape architecture firms. Hopefully he can land a job in one. He's really good at what he does. So I'm going to show tools and, you know, some more specific stuff about how my workflow process works. If you are interested in the current way that grading can be done, you know, again, go to danielshall.com. If you email me, I will probably give you free access. That's just the way I am. If you're an educator, university, K through 12, just email me, I'll give you access. I'm not really trying to make money off the site, just to control traffic, because if I have too many people on there, it crashes. So just email me if you want, and I hopefully will give you access if I remember. I will. Going back to Placemaker, you know, one of the things that my process is, why did I create Placemaker? Because I needed a process to actually build my models. I use Placemaker for everything. And one of the things we just recently released with Placemaker is the ability to import in really high resolution terrain. And I've been having fun with it. This is Red Rocks, Colorado. You can see I've highlighted a lot of Colorado places. I just love Colorado. The image on the right is a train station in Tokyo, one of my favorite cities. But you can bring this really high quality terrain and then paste a really good aerial on it. This is the Colorado National Monument, and not to disparage SketchUp, but that's what you get from the location tool in terms of terrain, versus what you can bring in with Placemaker, which has allowed me to start doing projects. This is just San Francisco, again, showing the terrain quality in there. It actually will, you know, this was the quality of the terrain that we can get for some places in the United States is 1 meter. I can't tell you when and where. We don't have a map for that, but you can just experiment with that. But I use that terrain information to build a project like this, which is this phasing for a project in Vail. I am at this point, I can't mention it, I'm under a non-disclosure agreement. I am working with another group of people to develop custom terrain modeling tools for SketchUp. We are currently in alpha, but I'm now using that for almost all my projects. I can't demonstrate it. I could just say that where I used to think of terrain modeling as kind of tedious, even though it's enjoyable, I now love it with these tools. And I'm not just saying that, so it's something that I'm using, you know, actively. And again, terrain modeling is a big part of just about everything that I do. So going back to the tutorials, there's the tutorials that I have do show all the methods, because I know I saw a question of like, how do I do the terrain modeling stuff? It's all in there. And I like to do very complicated grading. This is Terrell Davis. I'll give him Terrell. Brad Terrell. This was a really cool project. It was a local venue, pizza shop, kind of bookstore, hangout in California that got burnt down by the fires, and they're raising money and they're going to rebuild it. It was a big stop, and it was a fun. I actually owe him a video, but again, just to show the level of grading that we go into, and we'll spend a good amount of time doing that grading, and again, using custom tools to grade everything at this point. So there are a set of grading tools. I'm going to go up here real quick that you can watch on this video for terrain modeling at danielshall.com. I am using a new set of tools now that I plan to hopefully talk about next year.
We'll have you back.
You'll have me back. Back to Placemaker. So Placemaker, we're doing a webinar for Placemaker next week. If you go to our homepage, you can sign up. I am the heaviest user for Placemaker. I actually get yelled at by Dale because we do a credit system, and I kind of use a lot of credits. I think I went through 200,000 credits last year, which is just an enormous amount of data. But I use it. You know, here's a proposal. I get the aerial from the proposal. I bring in the model and I create a Lumion graphic out of it, and then I can convert the Placemaker data into CAD. And then I have a CAD site plan. So I'm going to talk about that in the webinar, about like how do I do that process, because it's really transformed the way that I've worked in terms of what I'm doing. And not to stop there, I want to highlight another feature in Placemaker. And I'm sorry that I'm doing this aggregated promotion for this, but this is the tools that I use. And one of the things about Placemaker's goal is to find the different data sets, all the geospatial data sets that are out there that we can integrate in, because what I need for all my projects is data. So one of the things everybody needs for their projects is a CAD survey and site base. And how do you go do that? You get a surveyor to go get it. Might take a couple of weeks, might take a couple of months. You pull a Google Earth aerial if you've got the opportunity to pull a Google Earth aerial from someplace and it's good quality. But what we found was a company called Ecopia, and we partnered up with them specifically for the AEC industry. And they're using computer vision AI to do what's called identification, classification, and segmentation of data. So what you're looking at the top right is what driverless cars see the world. That's grass, that's a person, except I don't think the person should be lying down in pink in that image. But hey, that's why we don't have driverless cars yet.
Hey.
That's a car, that's a road, there's a sky.
That's awesome.
The technology that goes into it is insane. But what Ecopia is doing is taking these high-resolution aerials, and you can get this level of detail in CAD or in SketchUp. How do they take that process? Here's a high-resolution aerial. They then take the aerial and they create polys. So basically what it does is like, that's a road. Okay. Then it has to go and do the segmentation, which is really, 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 really hard to do for computers. But it'll produce this basically site plan that we can then leverage. Here's an example of a specific project we used it for at the office. Here's the high-resolution aerial that we took with a drone. There's the CAD line work it created. Everything was layered. And with it, so you basically have the ability, and they're charging right now $1,000 through us per square kilometer. So it's a huge amount of data. Hopefully this rotates through here. You can see there's the building footprints it'll create, open grass and lawns, pavements. This includes driveways, open spaces, whatever classifications you actually want. And they're accurate. They're accurate down to what they claim is 95% or 7 centimeters.
Wow.
So this is what it looks like in SketchUp combined with Placemaker. That is a highly detailed survey. And right now, promotionally, you can't just go to Ecopia and get the data. That's why we teamed up with them, because I want the data for what I do, and it's really cheap. Right now, there's a whole thing about whether or not it's on demand or not, which is a whole separate conversation. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about, because I'm just about out of time, another custom tool. We do a lot of striping. We do a lot of road infrastructure. We like to build context. Well, at one point, Justin and I were working someplace, and we hate striping. It's just, if anybody's out there that does this kind of modeling, you're like, I don't want to do a road. So we started keeping track of who did what for which project to make sure that the other person was queued up to do it next. And you could see where it was crossed out a little over here. It's because we argued about who did what. So we do, again, a lot of road striping. It just doesn't matter. Every single project, I do infrastructure, whatever. I've got to do some kind of road striping. So I developed a tool. It's not live yet, but it's allowing me to do this kind of work. It's just for myself right now. Hopefully one day I'll release it. I plan to. I'm not going to say the name for now, but just say I'm all about automation and the ability to automate the tools, because everything I can automate saves me money. In terms of budget, I can get more done that way. And then on top of it, I can add a much higher level quality of detail through all of that.
That's amazing. Oh, Daniel, real quick. I just wanted to give you the 2-minute warning. Cool?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm actually going to end right here. I don't know where I'm supposed to go after all this to the forum, so hopefully someone can point me in the right direction to that.
We still got some time. And
okay.
that tool you just showed, amazing. What is that called again?
I'm not going to mention it just yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still in the development process of it. It's going to have a massive building library and just automates the creation of the urban streetscape, pretty much.
That's amazing. That is awesome.
Need to find ways to, so for me, it's all about automation, finding developers and working with them. So I have 3 active development projects for myself. I actually encourage people in the landscape architecture community, go find people to code stuff for you, for custom stuff. It makes a really big difference. So yes, that particular tool will be available hopefully next year. It's an active project. And it's the same with the terrain one, terrain modeling, because it's all about those tools. So thank you for shameless self-promotion. But again, here's the last tutorial slide. Go sign up, email me, you'll get free access. And thank you very much again for having me. As usual, I really appreciate being here. So thank you.
And thank you for covering 2.5 hours worth of content in 40 minutes. See, I told some people here, I'm like, oh, Daniel's gonna he's gonna cover some stuff. And you showed me, yeah.
I hope so. I hope that it was useful for people. I mean, it's really been it's such an ongoing process of where technology is going. And you could talk about generative design, which is Autodesk's kind of next big deal. So it's kind of interesting to see. I think at some point, none of us are going to be 3D modeling anymore. I think the whole world will be digitized in 3D, and everything's going to be automated. It's coming.
I'm out.
I know.
That's amazing. You know what, Daniel? I like how you put the little teasers, like the little hanging, leave us hanging at the end there. So now we have to invite you back again every year.
Yeah. And that extension works great with the 3D plants. So go ahead.
Do you have a good trivia question you could ask?
I do.
All right.
I gave a shout out to a bunch of people, and one of the images to John Altschull was this little image, right, of cat. How many cats were in that box?
Whoa.
Ooh. And Daniel, you'll have to keep an eye on the right answer here because we just discovered the question. So how many cats were in? So, and this was a box that was shaped like a car. Is that right?
Casey Loveland got it.
2 cats.
Wow.
There was one little one hidden. There was one guy peeking out. Good catch.
Awesome.
All right, Casey
Good
Loveland,
job.
you won. You will be receiving a copy of Daniel's book, SketchUp for Site Design Volume 2. That'll be coming to you. We will reach out to you or... there you go. It's in the chat. Email us.
Awesome. All right. Now let's go to our viewer questions. Number 1 has 37 upvotes. This is very important. I'm just going to read it just like it says here. This is Julie's question. It says, I would love to know how to best edit terrain and to edit the grading of hills to particular heights and slopes. I have tried exploding and editing the triangles of curves, but this ends up causing more trouble for me. Thank you.
Always that. I'm not stumped.
This is a hard thing to just answer.
It's a hard one to answer.
Yeah.
Without demoing.
Let me
go ahead.
Guide you a little bit, Daniel. What would be like the top tip for somebody in this position that Julie's in? What would be the number one thing you would say to go do, like to learn this or to find out more about it?
Use the custom tool that I have that I'm not releasing. That's just out there, which solves all the problems that everyone's experienced with terrain modeling. I honest to God.
Okay.
Here, one of the things that's worth doing, if you haven't gone through the website, danieltall.com, go sign up, email me, I'll give you free access again, and go through the terrain modeling tutorials. The problem with terrain modeling in SketchUp, it doesn't matter which program you're using, is you have to think about how you're going to grade a site. That's number one. If you understand how to grade it, then it's figuring out which tools, when and why, and how to use it. The way that traditionally I have had to model is to cut up a grade. Like literally just ginsu this thing, skin or contour or topo shaper, and actually, be able to grade it piecemeal by piecemeal. So it's something that it's easier to demo. I do have trained videos online. If you do a search for Dan Tall terrain, I'm sure something will come up at this point. I know Eric Schimpelfennig likes to harass me. He's like, "Here, I found you again. Can you please get offline?" Sorry, I have to give Eric Schimpelfennig a shout out. You know why?
That's right. He didn't make the cut so far. So I'll have to remind him next time I talk to him that he was at the end of the shout outs.
He was at the end of the show. Usually is. But you don't, there's, yes, and I know some people wanted more nuts and bolts. That's why you want to go to my tutorials. If I try to do an actual tutorial here, we'd get lost.
Yeah.
But go through, there's going to be a coming soon, a solution for everybody. That's the best way I can put it.
That makes sense. All right, that's a good answer. All right, so we had another question from John Clements, who is asking for your favorite resource for 3D and 2D tree models. You had some good-looking tree models in your presentation. So
there's the new 3D plants, that website that just came out. There's Dynascape Sketch 3D. They have a 1,000 library of SketchUp plants. And then, we're heavy Lumion users, so we're not doing as many plants in SketchUp anymore as much as we are, letting the graphic card just do it in Lumion. So Lumion is a good option, but, Dynascape plants, and I actually have a collection of 3D warehouse plants. If you sign up at danieltall.com, again, you'll get a component link to a library to a lot of plants. Yes, thank you for Sketch 3D Dynascape, Josh. Someone said I'm not a fan of Dynascape. I'm not talking about this Dynascape CAD software. I'm talking about the component library that they have for that. They have an amazing component library and some extensions for SketchUp. It's really a crossover there.
Okay.
Nice.
That's good. Good resources.
I think we get some more time still for questions. So you hanging in there, nice. Okay. Let's take a look here. So the next one, and I think someone had predicted this question, and you may have answered it actually in the previous, but I'll go ahead and read it out loud. David Pemberton says, could you please provide brief commentary on the best methods for doing cuts and fills with defined batters and retaining walls, also curved paths with a cross slope?
This may be another spot where you want to point towards a resource for this, because I don't think you're going to be able to walk through this just talking.
No, can't. So it's a manual process. What we end up doing is we do some grading in SketchUp, and then we're sending it out to Civil 3D. So we have, in our team, we use Civil 3D to do the cut fill calcs. To create comparison models, I did years ago have a cut fill extension that I was working on. I abandoned it. Just was too much heavy lifting at the time. But we do cut fills this way, and we do it all manually. So we literally go in there and measure everything. But one of the things, and it's a really good point, one of the reasons that we are using drones is because we can take the drone data, upload it into the cloud, and in the cloud software we can actually do cut fill calculations and quantity takeoffs. And granted, that's for existing conditions or for a post-constructed or during construction site, but just something to consider. But again, all these things that are around terrain, maybe in the forums after this, I can go to the forums, I can give some more demos or something. Terrain, you need an hour and a half presentation on terrain alone.
Do you ever use solid tools when you're trying to get into cut and fill?
No, we've tried. It's more the way that the terrain meshes are made and how you edit them that really starts not making them sealed. So you can't do it. Some people can. I know people have. So that's the way.
So we had a couple. People really want to know about tree resources. So we had. I'm just going to lump a couple of these together. But John Clements asked a second question about finding models for specific climates, and then just to append onto that, we had another question where somebody's asking about inserting them with growth, that showing growth over a specific timeline. Do you ever get into either of those?
I have some videos. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if I can find this one. I don't even know if I can, but I did one on all about vegetation. Maybe I kind of doubt I'll find it. Oh yeah, here it is.
Somebody called out Laubwerk. Do you ever use Laubwerk?
I have never heard of it.
Oh really?
It doesn't surprise me if I haven't heard of it. There's so many resources out now. In terms of, let me see if I can share my screen here again. Maybe share screen too. I did do in this video, which it's really old. How do I turn. That's Aiden Chopra talking. It's funny. But yeah, you can see right there if you're seeing in the video that
We're seeing your other screen. We're seeing the Fireside chat window.
Hold on.
Yeah, get out of here, Steve.
I was making room. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Here we go.
So the way I've done trees is, is just have multiple models of them, and then from there, like, kind of layer them, and then turn it all on, turn it all off. So in this case, there's one tree, there's a second tree, there's a third tree, fourth, fifth,
That makes
sixth,
sense.
seventh, eighth, ninth.
Well, yeah, if you tried to animate the actual growth of a tree, you're talking about some serious animation assets that fall outside of the job description, I would imagine.
So here's some great tree resources. Form Fonts, 3D trees. They're really good, especially they have one set of trees that are called the geometries. They're really good. Someone mentioned Enscape has a really good library. The 3D plants. So at this point, there's a lot of places to get vegetation. Just make sure that when you are using vegetation in SketchUp, tag it and turn it off. Otherwise, you're just not going to have any good performance stuff.
That's a great point.
And then, let's see, tall base camp. I don't know which one it is. Terrain modeling. I've presented at every base camp. So yeah, this one's not as great of a video, but because it was ad hoc and I didn't know I was going to present. But it's another one on terrain modeling that's free if you want to go on that for that one.
Oh.
And that was pre-children and much younger. Wow.
You still look great.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think Ishan asked a question that I think Steve will want to ask you.
Yeah, well, because since I work as a stalker in 3D Warehouse, that's stalker, not stalker, not stalker. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So Ishan asked, 3D Warehouse. Do you use that for plant entourage?
I do. I have a particular folder of. Let me see if I can find it here. I'll just show you. Let's see. Models. This is of when SketchUp 3, 4, and 5 used to come with a component pack. I still have it, and I still use it. I use it for everything. So plant material. This is all 3D Warehouse. So 3D trees. And I've compiled, some really good ones from the warehouse themselves. At this point, I have so many components, it's just a matter of oh yeah, someone asked me, we were looking for components, did you have those? I'm like, no, and then I found that I do, and they're like, yeah, component packs, old school, that's right, Josh.
So you are a fan of your own component library then? You're one of those guys.
I will pull whatever I need from wherever I can get it. If it's Form Fonts, great. If it's Dynascape, great. If it's 3D Warehouse, it's great. It doesn't matter. If I don't have to work it and spend 10 minutes modeling something or an hour, the resources are out there at this point to just grab whatever you need to. And we've recently looked into SpeedTree to create customized plants, but they no longer really offer that option for architectural viz. Which is just sad, but whatever.
Cool.
Yeah,
we're about the point where we're gonna wrap up here. But I know, like I said, because I know you, and I'm sure as you're running through there's a person or two that came into mind that you're like, oh, I didn't get this person. I got. So I'm gonna give you. This is your last chance for shout outs. Is there anybody else who hasn't gotten the shout out that you wanted to give?
There's always somebody. To my family, to my dad, who's having a tough time. Everything's dedicated to him. And to one other person, to John Palmer, in memory of John Palmer, really good friend.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Well, with that, Daniel, we are going to wrap up. And
cool.
You did have a lot of questions. There were some more questions in there. We couldn't obviously go through all of them because there's 27. I think that's a record setter. But Daniel is going to be over at the forum. So he's going to hop on there. The link is down at the bottom right now. It says head to Fireside Lounge. Click on that. You'll go into the forum and you can ask questions there. And he's going to do his best to answer you guys as you ask those questions.
Cool.
Daniel, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Give it up for Daniel Tall, everyone. Nice.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, it looks like the sun is setting on yet another episode of the Fireside Chat series. Time to get back to the tents. But first, everyone join us over at the Fireside Lounge. As we were saying, there's a little link down at the bottom of your screen. Tell you how to get there and fire away. I'm sure Daniel will be happy to answer your questions.
That's right. And until next time, if you ever need to measure success in the world of SketchUp, you know you've made it when Daniel Tall shouts you out. That's the words of wisdom we got today. So that's what you're aiming for.
See you next week. Bye, kids.